Yes, welcome back to Smart Means Business. We have been from a lovely break and we were still having conversations around how the halting of foreign aid to developing countries is going to affect them in the long run. We have seen that the US specifically has had over 3 initiatives in Uganda's economy just looking at helping people with HIV. But however, as of today, the Trump administration holds HIV drug distribution in poor countries. Now, of course, looking at this, we see that a number of people are going to be affected in the long run or in the short run because these initiatives, such as you said, the PRC as well as the PEPFAR have been able to achieve a lot in terms of HIV, AIDS treatment and prevention, malaria control, maternal and child health, as well as improved literacy rates in Uganda's economy. Specifically. Now, looking at that, of course, I would love to share with you maybe a little bit of how these statistics have been working around people with HIV in Uganda's economy. Now, 3.4 million Ugandans are living with HIV, and that is 15 to 19 of these being adults, 15% of these being adults, that is from the age of 15 to 49. Now, the new HIV infections in Uganda's economy are standing at 52,000 with new infections annually, and that is 1,000 new cases per week. Now, HIV-related deaths annually are about 18,000 per year. Now, when we look at these statistics, of course, before the USA or even the government of Uganda is responsible for your health, of course, you must be responsible for it as a person, because HIV is not a communicable disease where you have to breathe in air from someone and you're going to be affected with it, but it is rather a sexually transmitted disease. So before we point fingers and blame anyone else for the livelihoods or the type of medication you're supposed to be getting, then you should be looking into securing yourself as a person and how you are living your life today. And when we talk about HIV, it is not the only sexually transmitted disease in this day and age. We've also been having conversations about monkeypox that have been increasingly spreading in Uganda's economy due to the increased levels of sex trade. Now, I remind you that health is wealth, and of course, it starts with you. The life that you are choosing to live today is bound to affect you. However, of course, we see that there was also the issue of births, childbirth happening to be one of the reasons as to why HIV was being transferred from mother to child. However, with the aid that we were previously getting from the these institutions of the NGOs, there has been a reduction in this occurrence. But as of today, I must say that this has been pulled back for the next 90 days. And of course, it's going to pose a challenge because it's going to lead to increased HIV cases and treatment interruptions. We earlier said with Andrew that when you change treatment, of course, over time, and you're on these ARVs or of the sort, and they are interrupted when it comes to the way you're consuming them, it is going to end up affecting you and your health. So there is going to be an increased strain on healthcare services because we've been predominantly relying on the United States of America to help us with this treatment, as well as the healthcare facilities that we need and the machinery that we need. We know that Uganda is a third world country and it is taking its time to grow. You know, Africa being God's last bonds, we do need a lot of help when it comes to a number of things such as health sector. Now, with this pullback of this foreign aid that we've been previously getting, of course, we are going to be bound to have these issues coming up. And the fact that there was no ultimatum put up by the United States or by Donald Trump, that probably this aid will go on for at least 90 days. Then after 90 days, you must be able to recover as an economy. But it has rather been a short notice event where you either pick up for yourself or, I don't know, let someone else do it for you. And with someone is going to be able to do it for you without any ties attached to the help that you're going to get. Now, moving forward again, we see that there is going to be increased funding gaps and potential layoffs that is coming in from the workers who have been employed by these NGOs in Uganda specifically, and also the funding gap is going to happen when it comes to the NGOs that have been operating. Looking at WHO, for example, or the World Health Organization, it has been getting $1 billion annually for it to run its day-to-day activities. But with the scrapping off of this for the next 3 months, it means that they are going to be probably operating in a deficit when it comes to funding gaps. And Uganda alone is also going to have that challenge, given that we also have NGOs that have been largely operating in Uganda's economy. Look at USAID, for example. These days, if you're looking at a health advert, most of the things have been sponsored by USAID. Most of the things have been sponsored by PEPFAR. But now, as I speak, that is going to be on a halt for the next 90 days. And there is no guarantee that after 90 days, when they've revised these comprehensive policies, that we are going to still have this to continue with our livelihoods. So that is why I remind you that when it comes to things that you can control, such as the spread of HIV, stroke AIDS in Uganda's economy, you should be able to look out for yourself, right? Because a time is going to come and there's no one to look out for you. You're your own responsibility before you are the government's responsibility, leave alone the United States of America. So be reminded to live a life that is fulfilling, not just to you, but even to the people surrounding you, right? And of course, with the possible layoffs is going to come a loss of employment. I'm of the view that the people who are going to be laid off, when the initiative comes back into place, it is going to be revised, and probably the funding will have been reduced to be able to just maintain some for the United States of America. So that means that there is going to be a lot of unemployment coming in from these organizations that have been previously employing people of the Ugandan space. So you should be able to have a fallback if you've been under these organizations. And we're looking at about over 2,000 people being unemployed. Uganda is already facing a lot of unemployment per se. Now, if institutions have started withdrawing their foreign aid to Uganda alone, that means that there is going to be an increased, leave alone a more increased level of unemployment when it comes to Uganda's space. So I would remind you that we've always studied in high school that aim to be a job creator and not a job seeker. So I hope that people do have to actually things to fall back on. And when I assess this situation, it actually just gives you the mindset that you need to always have something to fall back on. Because at the end of the day, let's just look at the people employed in this space of NGOs. Probably they may not have anything to fall back on. If they didn't have a plan B, probably. And then let's look at it at a country level. Of course, we've not been given a warning bell, should I say. So that means that even us as a country at large, we are not going to have something to fall back on if we didn't have a plan B. And of course, at a global level, all the entities, this USAID has been funding over 100 countries. So that means that also they're not going to have anything to fall back on. And what does that leave you? It leaves you very vulnerable, and you will end up having a lot of uncalled for partnerships that will end up putting you in a compromising position. So always have a plan B, always have something to fall back on, because nothing is really ever certain, you know? And of course, there is going to be a lot of increased mortality. HIV is one of those diseases that does not actually have a cure as of date. You know, it only has something that can keep you going every other day. So with the pullback of this foreign aid, that means that there is a possibility of being increased death rates. We've seen from the statistics alone from the HIV Department of Uganda that at least 18,000 people are lost to HIV, stroke AIDS every year. So that means that that was even with the aid that we're getting. Now, without the aid, we only say that for God and our country should be what we should stand on. And lastly, there is going to be rising dependence, because we do not know where to fall back or what to do. And that one of the parties or one of the superpower countries that we were relying on has withdrawn its support to us. And of course, I continue to remind you every day that I sit here that your health is wealth, and not just to you,